On the edge of a sleepy barangay in Estranged lies a path nearly swallowed by the jungle, where vines grow thick as rope and the air turns cold even at noon. Few dare to follow it. Locals say Bahay Silungan was a wartime refuge, a place where civilians hid from air raids. But after the war ended, no one ever came back out. Only their shoes were found lined up outside the door, untouched by time. Carlos, a Manila-based horror vlogger chasing fame, ignored the warnings. Just superstition, he muttered, camera in hand. He wanted clicks, but the forest gave him silence. Even birds avoided this place. He reached the shelter just before sunset. The door creaked open before he could touch it. Inside, dust hovered like breath held too long. Carvings covered the walls, dozens of eyes etched by desperate hands. His camera flickered, static broke through as if the place rejected being seen. Then, in the lens, something moved, a figure far in the back, half glimpsed, with eyes all over its skin. Carlos lowered the camera, heart racing. When he looked up with his own eyes, the figure was gone. Just the empty hallway ahead, yet the sound of footsteps echoed behind him. Where no one stood, he spoke into the mic, trying to steady his voice. Is anyone there? The shelter answered with a whisper, not through the air, but from the floorboards below, faint croaking, repeating his words. Carlos found a trapdoor hidden beneath a rotting rug. The lock was rusted open, his flashlight flickered. Something about the dark below didn't feel empty, it felt aware, like it was waiting. He descended slowly. Every creak of the wooden stairs sounded too loud, like it disturbed something ancient. At the bottom, the room was lined with mirrors, each fogged except for one. The clean mirror showed a version of Carlos, but blinking differently. When he turned his head, the reflection didn't. Then it smiled, behind him, in the reflection only. Carlos stumbled backward, knocking over an old chair. The sound cracked like thunder in the silence. He looked again. The mirror now showed the room empty. No reflection, not even his own. As he turned to leave, a whisper brushed against his ear, intimate, almost gentle. You've seen it now. He spun around, but nothing moved. Yet the air felt thick, like breath on skin. His flashlight flickered again, then died. Darkness swallowed him whole. For a moment, he could hear only his breath until another joined it, ragged, wet, coming from just behind his neck. Carlos bolted up the stairs, heart pounding. The trapdoor slammed shut above him with a force that wasn't his. In the suffocating dark, he realized the shelter wasn't abandoned, it was hungry. From the mirrors came tapping, slow at first, then frantic. Shapes began forming behind the glass, blurring human form with something older, something wrong. They weren't reflections, they were watchers. Carlos pounded on the trapdoor, his fists raw. But the silence above was unbroken, heavy and unnatural. He felt it again, that pressure in the air, not wind, not heat, something watching. He backed into a corner, eyes scanning the basement. The furniture had shifted. The old cot was now facing the wall, the mirror gone. In its place was an empty frame, smeared with fingerprints on the inside. A low hum began, almost mechanical, but laced with breath. It resonated through his bones. Behind the walls, shadows slithered, not moving with the light, but against it, coiling like smoke through cracks. Carlos shut his eyes. This isn't real, he whispered. But in the darkness behind his eyelids, he saw them clearly, dozens of eyes blinking open one by one, all staring at him from below the floorboards. And then a voice, clear, childlike, spoke right next to his ear. Why did you come back? Carlos froze. It was the same voice from his dreams, the same child he buried 10 years ago. Carlos turned slowly. There was no one behind him, just the wall, damp and cracked. But the scent in the air had changed. It smelled like sampaguita and rust. A memory buried deep clawed its way to the surface. 10 years ago, on the edge of this village, Carlos had made a choice. A child had gone missing, and he told no one what he saw in the woods because he was afraid they wouldn't believe him, or worse, that they would. A creak echoed from above, not footsteps. A dragging sound, slow, deliberate, something heavy and soft being pulled across wooden floorboards. Then silence, except for the sound of nails lightly tapping wood. Carlos backed into the corner. His breath came in quick bursts, clouding the air. His flashlight flickered, then died. In the pitch dark, the whisper came again. She's still waiting where you left her? Then the trapdoor creaked open, not from above, but from below. Slowly, Impossibly, the floor lifted, and rising with it, eyes first, was the girl he left behind. Her skin pale as moonlight, her eyes filled with water and silence. Carlos stumbled back, but his legs no longer obeyed him. The ghostly girl stood still, half her body emerging from the trapdoor. Her eyes, though cloudy and dead, locked with his, accusing, ancient, and aware. She spoke without moving her lips. The words echoed in his skull. "You heard me cry. You looked away. Now look again." As her words ended, the house trembled and the basement wall began to bleed. The bolete tree outside shook violently, though the wind was still. Its roots had found their way into the foundation, into the floor, the walls, the very bones of the house, and within those roots were faces. These weren't just spirits, they were sacrifices. Generations of townsfolk had fed the tree with silence. Every missing child, every covered-up death, every scream no one dared to answer, they all flowed into the bolete. Carlos realized the girl wasn't haunting him alone, she was a voice for them all. They had waited, century after century, whispering beneath the roots. She was simply the first to rise. In a hidden compartment behind the basement wall, a single object waited, a hand-woven abanico, cracked with age and stained with soot. The symbol of an old babaylan, long silenced by the townspeople. The girl gestured toward it. Carlos, trembling, picked it up. Instantly, visions overwhelmed him, villagers dragging the babaylan, binding her to the bolete, blaming her for a plague she didn't cause. She had cursed the land not with wrath but with memory. A curse that would awaken when enough guilt had pulled, when enough voices cried from the roots. Carlos was simply the final echo. The air grew dense from the shadows. Other children began to appear, muddy, silent, flickering like candlelight. One by one, they surrounded Carlos, not angry, not cruel, just waiting. And then, the girl stepped aside. Behind her, the trapdoor yawned wider. From within came not darkness, but light, the warm glow of truth. If Carlos stepped in, he might remember everything or never return. If you enjoyed this story and want more dark legends and chilling tales, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with a fellow horror lover. Your support helps keep the whispers alive. Thank you for watching, and remember, some legends never sleep.